How is overcommitting tied to debt accumulation? We're going to talk about that on this episode of Ground Zero Minding Your Money. Tonight, we're going to talk about how does overcommitting tie into debt accumulation. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I am Nicovana Shannon with Shannon and Associates Inc. And I have been serving our community for 14 years in financial literacy fundamentals and really just teaching how to make sure that you budget properly to get you where you're trying to go in regards to your financial health. And I am here tonight with my co-host, Anissa Wright. And here she is. She's going to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I am so excited that you are here with us this morning. We are so super happy to have you because, again, we are bringing the tea. We are bringing the information that no one is really talking about, and that's our money. We need to be minding it. And so, like Nicovana said, we are going to be talking about overcommitting, but I am your favorite family finance advocate, Anissa, right?
Yes.
And I'm here to help you and your family build generational wealth. So let's dive right into this thing. Overcommitting. Nicovana, what do you mean by overcommitting?
Wow. Well, that's a great question. Overcommitting can mean a whole lot of different things, but what it means to us, because we deal with your money, is when you overcommit to anything pertaining to your money, you are at risk to one, either overspending or accumulating debt. And so there are certain emotions that are tied to overcommitting. Overcommitting can be tied to anxiety. It can be tied to depression. It can be tied to feelings of embarrassment, shame, and denial. And so we're going to touch on those things tonight through our conversation. So just kind of backing back into overcommitment, I want to make sure that you understand that even if you have a sensitivity to taking on too much responsibility for something, and that's really what it means, just taking on too much responsibility, it's way outside of your scope. You don't know how to say no. You feel uncomfortable saying no to those that you love. And if they are needing your assistance financially, or even if your children need something and you want to go out and buy it, but you know it may not be something that you can afford, but you don't want to say no to them. It could be that your spouse is wanting to buy a new toy, like something like a car or some type of gadget of some kind, and you don't know how to say no. And we know that we're trying to buy something else that's more important for the house, like a refrigerator. And they would prefer to go out and purchase, something that they can play with, and keep them entertained. But yet you don't know how to say no. So what happens? You go out and you buy that little wonderful gadget for your loved one, and you still got to buy your refrigerator. And so you end up in a situation where you overcommit. So what are your thoughts on that, Anissa?
I think a lot of times too, we do it subconsciously, right? We're not even aware that we're overcommitting ourselves or our finances because we're just in the rush. We're in the go. We're trying to get things done. If you're like me, then you act before you think a lot of the times.
Yes.
There are times I have to slow myself down because my brain, it just moves so much faster than the rest of my body, but I'm constantly just trying to make decisions and move and go. And I think a lot of times when we do go out and make purchases, or we're trying to buy groceries, but we realize we got to get a new tire, and then the kids got to sign up for this new program and things of that nature.
Exactly.
And we talked about this last week. We talked about assessing our situation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When we don't assess where we are, when we don't even know where we're starting, when we don't even understand what our ground zero is, we don't even realize that we're overcommitting our finances because we're just spending. Right?
Correct.
We're paying bills and we're buying things that we may need, and it might not be be frivolous spending.
Mm-hmm.
But because we haven't assessed where we are, we haven't thought about how much we're currently bringing in. We're putting more out. That kind of overcommitting is subconsciously overcommitting our finances. So
Yes.
we need to be more
Yes.
conscious about that. Sometimes we do know that we're overcommitting, right? To borrow money or family
Right.
borrow money. We know we don't have to give, right?
Right.
We don't want to say no.
Exactly.
Stuck up or mean one or whatever. Everybody's in need right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a spirit of wanting to give. We want to help people, right?
Absolutely.
But we really have to reevaluate, where we are. But it starts with we got to know where we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Really knowing proper applications is very important. And we definitely want to talk about some points that could, one, help you not overcommit anymore. To come up with some type of strategy or plan that will keep you out of that situation. And three, really just kind of anchor yourself in a process that will get you to where you're trying to go, because that's the goal. That's the goal.
Yep.
So we definitely are going to touch on those triggers, those emotions that kind of put you in those hot spots, those crazy places that you don't want to be in. But when you create guardrails, when you create those safety nets that really catch you right before you make that move that could really affect you in a negative way, that's what those applications and tools do for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what having individuals like myself and Anissa, we are able to help you not fall over into those small traps, because they're like little snares. They will add up. They are accumulative. We make little decisions day after day after day, and the next thing you know, your credit card is maxed out, and you're like,
that
what?
Is a good point you just made there. It's the little things. I had a client literally, and this is no exaggeration, just buying things with a credit card, stopping at the gas station and getting a soda and a snack, or, getting fast food, or, stopping at the store and just getting those impulse buy items right at
Absolutely.
the station, but using a credit card to purchase those things, and literally racked up $10,000 in debt from those types of purchases. Now, that's insane, but it's easy, right?
It's
because
so easy.
The credit card is easy. You don't have cash, just swipe, right? And so it's this subconscious act of spending what we don't have or overcommitting our finances, as you said, it can literally get out of control just with the small things. We're not talking about going out and buying cars and mansions and things. No, I'm talking about the little bitty things that we don't pay attention to. Is a huge issue with some of my clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just to kind of piggyback on what you said in regards to swiping that credit card, right? And just accumulating little bits at a time. What I would like for us to kind of talk about, what is a good tip for someone who has that urge? What is something that we could tell our audience tonight that would cause them to pause long enough to say, okay, let me think about that. Mm-hmm. What would be a good technique for us to use so that we won't do those little itty bitty accumulative type of spending, especially with our credit card?
Absolutely. And that's a great question. A lot of times what I tell my clients is, listen, leave the credit cards at home. Don't even put them in your purse. Lock them away, put them in your safe, put them in a drawer, a safe spot where they can be used when necessary, but don't carry them everywhere you go, because it's just too easy. Mm-hmm. I would even go as far as to say, listen, cut them up. Don't use them. If you need to make a purchase to keep it, because sometimes using a credit card is a good thing if you know how to use it, right? If you make intermediate purchases every now and again, and you pay it off immediately, that helps your credit score. But it's when we just do this impulse buying. So listen, leave the credit cards at home. Don't even carry them. Another thing is the envelope system. Listen, when you get paid, separate the payout into different envelopes. You have your envelope for your bills, your envelope for your your spending, your envelope for your savings, whatever it is. And that might sound a little bit archaic, right? Envelopes, I mean,
right.
digital age. But you would be surprised how such simple techniques or things, keeping it simple, will help you achieve the goal. And yes, it's going to take discipline. Yes, it's going to take, effort. Most people think, I should be able to make these changes easily. But just like anybody that has any type of addiction, even though we don't want to say it, we don't want to call it what it is.
Right. Right.
But we can get addicted to swiping.
Absolutely.
We have to address it as such and take those necessary steps. So I would say, listen, just leave it at even the debit cards. And I know that's hard. Carry cash if you can, and monitor how much cash you are spending, because the moment you take that credit card, it's just too easy. It's just too easy to swipe.
Right. That's great. That's excellent tips. And you all take note. Make sure you take note, because that is absolutely great ways for you to force yourself to pause. If you don't have the temptation in your pocket, you won't use it.
Right.
And if you don't have the debit card readily available, then you're only going to spend what you have in your pocket. So that would be a great deterrent in order to cause you to pause. Like, maybe I didn't need to buy that this time.
Exactly.
Or whatever that might be. So it's just important that you utilize those tips to just help train you and condition you to think wiser about your money. So exactly. I love those tips. Absolutely. So just kind of going back into the emotional feel about that. Now, there are some that may have a little bit of anxiety about not having those safety nets in their pockets, and they may feel that there might be some entitlement tied to it. It gives them power. It makes them feel, like they are able to do it, even though they are using credit. It could even be peer pressure. How would you deal with that? How would you deal with being with your peers and knowing that you are on a very tailored budget, and you feel pressure because your peers may not be in the same situation that you're in, or, they may have more than you have. Right. But yet you are wanting to feel included. You kind of feel like that is causing some anxiety for you. What would be your thought on that?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I think the most important thing is just being, first of all, the initial change has to occur in your mind, in your spirit first. You have to make that mind shift and understand where you want to be. What is your goal? You have to know that for yourself. What is your why? If you are making financial changes in your life, you have to understand and be committed to your why first, to yourself. Because when you do get around other people that do have a little bit more to spend, you do fall into that temptation of wanting to keep up with the Joneses, right? But once you make that mind shift and you understand that you have a goal that you're driving toward, and that goal is worth it because you have elderly parents that you want to take care of, or you have children that you're trying to, grow up with financially sound habits, or whatever your reason, whatever your why, make sure you understand that. And then when you get around your peers or the people that you feel like you're trying to keep up with, just be upfront and honest. Listen, when I tell my kids this all the time, there's this photo that goes around with Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg in a picture.
Yes.
Right? And,
yes.
It says, over, I think $10 billion or whatever, how much money they have in this picture, and not a Gucci belt in sight, right? Listen, even the rich live frugally. I mean, that's how they keep their money.
Absolutely.
Right? A lot of millionaires, you wouldn't even know that they're millionaires because they don't flaunt it the way people who really don't have the money flaunt it, right?
Right.
So I think holding on to your conviction of knowing what your goal is and recognizing that everybody may not understand. And if you continue to stay around or surround yourself around that group of people where you feel that pressure, or where you feel like you know your triggers.
Yeah.
You know, if you go hang out with Jim and Sally.
Right.
And they riding a Bentley and they eating at the most expensive places. You might have to catch them another time.
Right.
Make sure that you're addressing those triggers and know what they are. And tell the people that care about you. If Jim and Sally are your friends, they'll understand and they'll support you. Don't feel like that's something you have to hide. I think that's, again, that mentality of feeling like we have to keep up with our next door neighbor is killing us. It is killing us. You know, Kelly Rowland recently came out with an article. I don't know if you saw it, Nikavana. She came out with an article about how she was trying to, and this is Kelly Rowland,
a Destiny's Child,
right? We all know who Kelly Rowland is.
Right.
And she came out with an article talking about how she too was trying to keep up this facade of having money, you know, being able to purchase the most expensive clothes and jewelry and things of that nature. She said it almost killed her. It was horrible. It almost killed her financially. And so she just had to have a mind shift. And I think that, you know, that can happen to rich people, can happen to poor people, whatever your situation, just know what your goals are, understand what your triggers are, be upfront and honest about your situation. And that you'll find that pressure dissipates because you know you know why you're doing what you're doing. And that's okay. Listen, we can always do what we want to do, but when we know why we can't do what we want to do, it makes sense.
It does make sense. It absolutely does. And you are so right with what you were saying. You know, really just being truthful with yourself and knowing, like you said, knowing your limitations, knowing your triggers. And you need to think about the people that you're hanging around. You need to really reevaluate that if you are feeling anxiety or pressure of any kind to keep up with them. Because if they are really about you and your life and your family and the things that you are trying to do, they are going to support you in whatever you are doing.
That's right.
And if they really are about you for real, and they know that you are not in the same place that they are, I know for a fact that they will either stand in the gap for you or they will let you know, they'll talk you off the ledge. They'll be like, look, you don't even have to do this. This is not even something that you have to do. There is no pressure. It doesn't even matter. I mean, it doesn't take away from who you are. To me, we get where you are. You have shared it with us. You've been transparent. You've told us what's going on. We are going to support you where you are. I think reevaluating who you are surrounding and who is supporting you is key.
Absolutely.
To just diffusing that anxiety and pressure to try to be something that you're not.
Absolutely. You know, we tell our kids all the time, listen, if they don't want to be your friend, that's on them. You know, if they don't like you for who you are, then they're not really your friends. Listen, we as adults need to take that same advice. If you're around people that can accept you when you have, but then don't accept you when you don't have, listen, let them go. You don't need that type of
no, it's the truth. It's the truth, because you want to be around people that want you to win. You want to be around people who want you to reach your goals, want your family to reach your goals, whatever that looks like. So that's a huge takeaway. If you're receiving external pressure and it's negative, you need to reevaluate who you hanging with.
That's right, girl. Yes, amen.
Yes. So you know what? Just with that, I know there are other emotions that come along with overcommitting our money. I know that depression, embarrassment, shame, and denial are some other things that come up when it comes to overcommitting. And one of them that I just kind of want to talk a little bit more about really is shame, and knowing that overcommitting can actually bag up into a lot of different things. It could be childhood trauma. It could be an abusive relationship that you might have been in. It could have been just broken processes.
You're about to get deep now.
Right.
Now listen, before you go any deep, I think we need to hear from a sponsor, and then we're gonna come back, and then you're gonna dive into that, because that's something that needs to be talked about. But let's hear a word from our sponsor really quickly, and we'll come back.
All right. Yes. So let's dive right into talking about shame and how shame can be a byproduct of childhood trauma. It could be a byproduct of an abusive relationship. It could be financial abuse of some kind. And it does tie directly into overcommitting. Because when you are broken in how you view yourself and how you feel about yourself, and you may not feel like you are enough, it could cause you to not know how to say no to things. It could cause you to spend in order to make yourself feel better. So you actually go out and spend money because it creates a euphoric experience for you, and it gives you a high, kind of talking like those addiction feels. It gives you a little high, and it kind of satisfies that emptiness, and then it wears off, and then you come back and you do it again, right? In order to chase after that feeling. And so with that, let's just say that you have made some decisions that is tied into some emotions that needs a little more attention. And you want to, one, come out of that space, and you don't know how. Let's just say you are $10,000 in debt, and you really need a strategy on how to move out of that. What would be the first thing that you do in order to start the process? Because we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And, and it may be small steps. I know you gave some great tips earlier in the show in regards to just leaving credit cards at home, or doing the envelope process, or leaving your debit cards at home, or even cutting them up. What would be a great place for someone to start that has dealt with their emotional issues and are really trying to get out of debt? What would be the first thing for them to do?
So looking at someone that has $10,000 in credit card debt, they want to get rid of their debt first. Again, always starting at the ground zero, assessing where you are financially. How much money are you making? How much money are you bringing in each month? What do your bills look like? And I'm not talking about your debt bills. I'm talking about like your mortgage, your lights, your phone, the necessities, the things you need to have in order to live. What do those things look like? Are there ways to cut some of that debt down? Like, have you shopped for your auto insurance lately? You might be paying way too much in auto insurance. Can you save $25 a month on your auto insurance? Whatever the case may be. Looking at your debt situation and finding out where you can make some cuts where it wouldn't, cost you to lose your lights. That's the first step. Right. And then once you do that, you're assessing where you are with your revolving debt, talking about your credit card debt, things of that nature. You begin to contact your creditors and let them know your situation. We always have to communicate. That's the problem. We do not communicate. We try to solve things on our own and without talking to anybody, and then they just get out of control and out of hand, and then we just fall back and we feel hopeless. You have to begin the communication process. Listen, your lenders want to help you because they want their money.
Right. No, they do.
Contact them. And a lot of times there are, most people don't even know what interest rate that they're getting on their credit cards. Most people don't realize that it's somewhere usually between 19 to 24%. That is a huge amount of interest to pay on debt that you have. So contact your creditors. Listen, can you lower my interest rate? Can you give me a 0% interest rate for a period of time until I can pay down the credit card or whatever the case may be? Can I get a 0% interest rate credit card to transfer some of this debt onto so that I could pay the debt off without incurring additional interest or cost for that money? Those are some great places to start. And again, always reaching out to a financial planner to help you make some of those decisions. Most people wonder, well, can I afford it, or can I do this? Listen, when you're already in debt and you don't know how to get out, just like if you were a lawyer, if you needed legal services, if you needed medical services, you don't go in wondering, well, sometimes you do, but if you really, really need it, you're going to go and say, listen, I need your help. What can you do for me? This is what I have. Communication is key. People are willing to work with you. You just have to open your mouth and tell them what you need and ask for it.
Absolutely.
The more we stay silent, the deeper hole we're going to dig for ourselves. But you got to start somewhere. You got to move. And those are the three things I want to do first. You, again, assess where you are, contact your creditors, and then ask for that help. And listen, there is help to be had.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. I think that biggest thing, asking for help, is huge. When you really just cross that threshold of not feeling like whatever you might be feeling like, shameful or prideful or just insecure, or you may have trust issues, so you may not be able to know how to ask for help. But when you really get to that place where you can say, you know what, I need somebody to help me, you have really moved the ball down the road quite a bit, because now you are open to the new thought of change. You are open to the new thought of something better, and you are open to someone helping you with that process. So I love the points that you gave. That is amazing in regards to anyone that's starting from ground zero. It could be someone that doesn't know at all, or someone who's having to start over. Those are fundamental thoughts and tips that you can absolutely take into to heart, and know that that's a great place to begin. Absolutely. Absolutely. So when you have someone that is doing fairly well, established for a while, really just trying to reassess their debt and hopefully come up with a new plan that would cause them to pay their house off faster, or be able to plan to put their kids in college, or making a decision on that regard, what would be your thoughts in regards to that person? How would they be able to restructure their debt?
If they were looking to refinance, you said?
Or just restructure their debt, and maybe they don't know that they could they don't know what their options are. They just want to be able to restructure. That's
what this is all about, not knowing what our options are. That's the reason why we stay in the position that we stay in, because we just don't know. And that's okay, because that's the general population until somebody teaches you, right?
Yeah, right.
Don't feel like this is something that's, you're alone on some island because you don't know all the answers, right?
Right.
Everybody is in a profession for a reason, right? They study. Now, I can't tell you a lick about fixing a car. I can tell you how to fix finances. Don't ask me how to change a tire.
Right.
I know that's bad. It's really bad. I do know how to change a tire. But no, I think that's absolutely fine. The first thing to do is to educate yourself and listen. If you don't know, you go ask somebody that does. There are a ton of ways to restructure your debt. And I get that trust issues come into play. So you need to find somebody you trust. If there's a person that you feel like you can go to, that you feel is knowledgeable, go to that person. And they may not have the immediate answer that you need, but I guarantee you, they can refer you to somebody that does.
Yes.
And, you ever heard of that term, 6 degrees of separation? We know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, right? Right. I swear, I'm Denzel is somewhere in my 60s. Right. I don't know. Denzel Washington. Right. I don't know. But we know somebody that knows somebody, right? So we just like we would seek out, we ask our friends, hey, listen, who's your doctor? I really need a great doctor. We ask, right? Or, hey, listen, I want to go see a good movie. What movie do you recommend? We ask for recommendations, and
Absolutely.
we should not treat our finances differently. If
Mhm.
we need information on taxes, if we need information on investments or debt relief, whatever the case is, do your
Yes.
homework, educate yourself, ask
Yes.
for referrals. There is somebody out there that you can trust that is willing to help you. And you got to start there. Because there are plenty of ways, going back to the original question,
Yeah.
plenty of ways to restructure your debt. And because I don't know everybody's situation out there,
Right.
refinancing your home could be the answer. In many situations, it's not, though. So it just really depends on where that person is, but there are solutions out there for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I know that we have covered a lot tonight, and we definitely will be continuing this conversation onto our next episode. But I just wanted to thank you all for joining us tonight and taking a part in our conversation in regards to overcommitting and how it is tied to debt accumulation. I hope it did answer some questions for you. If not anything, it did cause you to think about some things. And so we look forward to you joining us next week. So just make sure that you submit your questions, submit your comments to our email address, and we absolutely will go through each and every question and comment and see what we can talk about on our future episodes. But until next time, I'm gonna pass it off to my co-host Anissa, and we are going to see you next week.
All right, everyone, we will see you next week. Enjoy the rest of your morning. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. And remember, ask questions, ask for help, submit your questions to us. We're here to help you. Okay. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.